Alien Girl's Diary. My first encounter with a human terrified and aroused me. The soft glow of my hollow journal illuminates my quarters as I begin to record today's entry. My hands are still trembling slightly as I write, but I need to document this encounter while the memories are fresh in my mind. Personal log cycle 847 3rd quarter. I Liran Vari, chief xenobiologist of the SEALS IAL research vessel Star Weaver, experienced my first direct contact with a human male today, and by the great cosmos, I don't even know where to begin. I pause, my stylus hovering over the surface as I gather my thoughts. The events of the day replay in my mind like a vivid dream, making my heart race all over again. We were conducting routine atmospheric samples on the outer rim of the Andromeda sector when our sensors detected an unregistered vessel. As per protocol, I joined the first contact team. Standard procedure for potentially discovering new species, but this was different. We weren't dealing with an unknown species, we were dealing with a human. My skin tingles at the memory, its natural green hue deepening slightly with what I refuse to acknowledge as a blush. His name is Commander Bryant Drake of the Earth Alliance. When he stepped through the airlock, I felt my breath catch in my throat. Everything about him screamed predator. From his broad shoulders to his confident stride, he moved with a fluid grace that seemed at odds with his powerful frame. I bite my lower lip, remembering how his dark eyes had locked onto mine. There had been something primal in that gaze. Something that made my instincts scream danger, even as another more primitive part of me whispered closer. The humans have a saying, fight or flight response. Well, I experienced both simultaneously, along with something else entirely. His presence triggered reactions in me that I've never experienced before. My heart rate increased by 47%, my body temperature rose by 1.2. And my pheromone production, well, let's just say the ship's environmental systems had to work overtime. As our chief science officer droned on about diplomatic protocols, I found myself studying Commander Drake with what I tell myself was purely scientific interest. His skin tanned and weathered from what I assume are years in space, bears small imperfections that somehow make him more intriguing. A thin scar runs along his jaw, and when he speaks his voice carries a resonance that seems to vibrate through my entire being. The way he carries himself is fascinating. Unlike the calculated movements of my people, he exudes a raw, untamed energy. When he laughed at something, our captain said the sound was deep and unreserved, sending an unexpected shiver down my spine. It's as if he occupies more space than his physical form should allow, commanding attention without effort. I pause my recording, running my fingers through my dark hair in frustration. How can I possibly capture the complexity of these new sensations in mere words? The truly perplexing part is his effect on me. I'm a scientist trained to observe and analyze, but in his presence my usual analytical detachment crumbles. When he turned those intense eyes on me and asked about our xenobiology research, I nearly dropped my data pad. Me, the same researcher who once remained calm while face to face with a and spine beast. The memory makes me flush again. I'd managed to stammer out a response about our current projects, and he listened with genuine interest, but it was the slight quirk of his lips, that hint of a smile, that had completely derailed my thoughts. There's something both terrifying and thrilling about humans. About him specifically. They're supposed to be a young species, barely space-faring by our standards, yet they carry themselves with such confidence. No, that's not the right word. Audacity, perhaps. They seem to look at the vast dangerous universe, and instead of feeling small, they see it as a challenge to be conquered. I take a deep breath, trying to organize my scattered thoughts. Commander Drake mentioned that he'll be stationed on our vessel for the next few lunar cycle as part of a new alliance initiative. The logical part of my mind knows I should maintain professional distance, but there's another part of me, a part one didn't even know existed until today, that wants more. The door chime interrupts my recording, making me jump. A quick glance at the time shows it's the start of the evening shift. I have to prepare for the welcome dinner for our human guests. Computer save entry. I'll continue this later, after I've had more time to process these unexpected reactions, though I suspect no amount of time will fully prepare me for what lies Ahead as I stand to change into my formal attire I catch my reflection in the mirror. My golden eyes seem brighter than usual and there's a flush to my green-tinted skin that I can't quite hide the elegant black dress I've chosen. For the evening feels both too revealing and not revealing enough. What are you doing to me, Commander Drake? I whisper to myself, smoothing down the fabric. And why do I find myself hoping you'll do more? Personal log cycle 847 third quarter evening entry. I never imagined a formal diplomatic dinner could be so enlightening or dangerous, though perhaps dangerous isn't quite the right word. Intoxicating might be more accurate. I pause my recording, letting my fingers trace the edge of my pendant as I recall the events of the evening. The soft glow from my quarters' ambient lighting seems to pulse in rhythm with my quickened heartbeat. Commander Drake arrived at the dinner wearing what he called a dress uniform, a crisp dark ensemble that somehow made him appear even more imposing, but it was his knowledge of our customs that truly caught me off guard when he performed the traditional greeting of my people, a complex gesture involving specific finger positions and subtle head tilts. I nearly dropped my drink. The memory makes me smile despite myself. He executed it perfectly down to the last subtle nuance. When I asked how he knew our customs, he simply said he'd done his homework. The way his eyes crinkled at the corners when he said it, by the celestial spheres, I'm acting like a novice researcher on her first expedition. I stand and pace my quarters, trying to collect my scattered thoughts. The silken fabric of my dress whispers against my skin, reminding me of how his gaze had followed its movement throughout the evening. During dinner we were seated next to each other, a arrangement I suspect wasn't entirely coincidental given the knowing looks from our protocol officer. The commander spoke of Earth's oceans, of vast bodies of water that stretch beyond the horizon. His descriptions were so vivid I could almost taste the salt in the air he described. But it wasn't just his words that captivated me, it was the way he seamlessly integrated our cultural practices with his own when he offered me the traditional first taste of his meal, a gesture usually reserved for close family members or potential mates. I felt the entire room hold its breath. He knew exactly what that gesture meant in our culture, yet he did it with such natural confidence, as if challenging anyone to question his right to do so. My hands tremble slightly as I continue recording. I accepted, of course. How could I not? The look in his eyes, he knew exactly what he was doing. The brief touch of his fingers against mine as he passed the ceremonial tasting spoon sent electricity through my entire body. I've never experienced anything like it. I paused, collecting myself. The conversation that followed was even more stimulating. He asked about my research, showing genuine interest in our species' biological differences. His questions were precise, intelligent, revealing a deep understanding of xenobiology that I hadn't expected. When I mentioned my studies on interspecies adaptation, he leaned in closer, so close I could feel the heat radiating from his body. Tell me, Dr. Invari, he said, his voice dropping to a low rumble that seemed to resonate in my chest, how adaptable are your people? The double meaning wasn't lost on me, neither was the way his fingers brushed against my arm as he reached for his drink. I take a deep breath, my skin flushing at the memory. After dinner he suggested we continue our discussion in the ship's observation deck. The way he asked, confident yet giving me every opportunity to decline, made my heart race. I agreed, of course, for scientific purposes. I told myself the observation deck was empty, the vast expanse of space stretching out before us. He spoke of humanity's drive to explore, to push boundaries, to seek out new experiences. We're naturally curious creatures, he'd said, his eyes meeting mine in the starlight, and we see something beautiful and mysterious. We can't help but want to understand it completely. The way he said beautiful left no doubt he wasn't just talking about space exploration. I found myself sharing things I've never told anyone about my fascination with other species, my secret dreams of experiences beyond the rigid structures of our society. He listened with an intensity that made me feel like we were the only two beings in the universe. When he touched my face, tracing brilliant, but it was his next move that truly demonstrated why humans are such fascinating creatures. He challenged the council to explain how our relationship threatened anyone. Show me the danger, he Demanded show me how love between species weakens either of our peoples. When they couldn't, he pressed his advantage, or perhaps he suggested with that dangerous smile that makes my bioluminescence flare, you're afraid. Because we represent something you can't control, something natural and powerful that transcends your regulations. I watched the council members shift uncomfortably as Drake laid out example after example of successful human-alien cooperation. He spoke of trade agreements strengthened by personal bonds, of scientific breakthroughs achieved through intimate collaboration. Dar Navari and I, he declared, his hand finding mine beneath the conference table, sending electricity through my nervous system, are not the problem. We're the future, a future where species don't just coexist, they connect. The human delegation backed him completely. Admiral Foster even added that any attempt to force a separate U.S. would be considered a hostile action against Earth Alliance interests. The way humans stand together protecting their own and those they consider theirs, it's both terrifying and thrilling. In private, Drake's passion was even more intense. They don't understand us, he whispered, his touch igniting sensations that made my skin glow like a newborn star. They can't comprehend how meeting you has changed everything I thought I knew about the universe. Our intimate moments now carry an extra charge, a defiant joy in proving that our connection transcends political boundaries. Each touch, each shared breath feels like a victory against those who would keep us apart. The council has retreated to review the situation, but Drake isn't waiting for their decision. He's already begun integrating our research teams, creating joint projects that make our relationship instrumental to both species. Scientific advancement, computer personal notation. Humans have a saying, love conquers all. I used to think it was just poetic hyperbole. Now I understand it's a statement of intent. When humans love, they don't just accept obstacles, they demolish them. The most remarkable part. I'm no longer afraid of his intensity, or rather I am, but it's an exhilarating fear, like standing at the edge of a scientific breakthrough. Every moment with him pushes me beyond my comfort zone, beyond what I thought possible. And log entry and computer flag this one for potential historical significance someday when human-alien relationships are commonplace. Someone might want to know how it all began. Personal log cycle 847 4th quarter scientific discovery entry computer begin emergency scientific log. What we've discovered in the past 24 hours will revolutionize our understanding of both human and invariant evolution. The implications are staggering. My hands tremble as I input the latest genetic analysis results. The laboratory's soft blue lighting reflects off my illuminated skin, which hasn't stopped glowing since the moment of our breakthrough. Drake stands behind me, his presence both steadying and electrifying. As always, it started with a routine analysis of our biochemical compatibility. I was curious about why humans and Narian could form such intense physical and emotional connections despite evolving on different worlds. The results defied everything we thought we knew about convergent evolution. I pause, remembering the moment when the genetic sequences aligned on my hollow screen. Our DNA patterns share a mathematical signature that couldn't possibly be coincidental. The odds against such similarity occurring naturally are astronomical. Drake's reaction to the discovery was characteristically human. Instead of being shocked or skeptical, his eyes lit up with a dangerous gleam of excitement that still makes my heart race. I knew there was a reason I couldn't resist you, he whispered, his breath hot against my neck as he studied the data. The most fascinating aspect isn't just the genetic similarity, it's the specific areas where our DNA aligns. The sequences responsible for emotional processing, pair bonding, and physical attraction show clear signs of deliberate engineering. Someone or something wanted our species to be compatible. When we presented our findings to the Joint Scientific Council, the reaction was immediate and intense. The human scientists were thrilled. Already theorizing about ancient precursor civilizations, my own people were more reserved, but I could see their carefully controlled excitement. Drake, of course, couldn't resist adding his own perspective. Maybe the universe wanted us to ind each other, he suggested, his hand casually brushing my lower back in that way that makes my bioluminescence surge. The human delegation actually applauded while my fellow Anarans tried to maintain their composure. Our subsequent private research sessions have taken on new meaning. Every touch, every shared moment feels like we're rediscovering something ancient and profound. Drake jokes that we're conducting on archaeological studies, but there's truth in his humor. The way our bodies respond to each other, the perfect biochemical synchronization, the complementary neural patterns, it's all by design. Some ancient race looked into the future and saw the potential in our union. They engineered not just compatibility but complementarity. Last night as we lay intertwined in my quarters, Drake traced the patterns of light dancing across my skin. Do you think they knew? He asked the ancients who engineered this compatibility. Did they know how right it would feel? The question sparked something in my mind. I pulled up the historical archives, searching for any mention of human and variant encounters before first contact. What we found was astonishing. Ancient Narian texts speak of star walkers with pale skin and fierce hearts who would one day return to awaken us. Human mythology is filled with stories of glowing ones who taught their ancestors about the stars. The references were always dismissed as legends, but now Drake's enthusiasm for these discoveries is infectious. Think about it, he said during this morning's briefing, pacing with that predatory grace that still makes me shiver. Our species aren't just accidentally compatible, we're designed to complete each other. Every argument against our relationship just got blown out of the water. The Celestial Council is scrambling to adjust their policies. It's hard to maintain prejudices against interspecies relationships when there's evidence that they're part of some grand cosmic plan. Drake finds their discomfort endlessly amusing, but it's not just about politics or science anymore. These discoveries have deepened our connection in ways I never expected. Knowing that our attraction isn't just chance or biology but part of an ancient design, it adds a dimension of destiny to every moment we share. Computer personal notation. Humans have a concept called soulmates, the idea that some people are destined to find each other. I used to think it was just another example of human romanticism. Now I wonder if their ancestors remembered something my people forgot. The way Drake looks at me now, knowing our connection was written in the stars eons ago, it awakened something primal and powerful. Every touch feels like completing a circuit designed by ancient hands. Every kiss feels like fulfilling a destiny planned before our species reached for the stars. And log entry and computer create a new research category: ancestral bioengineering and inner species compatibility. Something tells me we're just beginning to understand what the ancients had in mind. Personal log cycle 847 4th quarter galactic development entry. Computer begin historical documentation. The past week has transformed our private discovery into a galactic phenomenon. Reports are flooding in from across known space, other species finding evidence of engineered compatibility in their own genetic codes. I pause watching the latest transmission from the Centaur sector. My skin pulses with excitement as Drake massages my shoulders. His touch create a new research category: enhanced inner species resonance. Something tells me we're about to rewrite everything we thought we knew about connection, consciousness and love itself. Personal log cycle 847 4th quarter crisis entry. Computer begin emergency documentation. The situation has escalated beyond our worst predictions. 3 separate factions are now attempting to seize control of the enhancement technology, each claiming exclusive rights to its power. My skin pulses with agitation as I record this entry from our secured location in the ancient facility. Drake's enhanced presence beside me is both comforting and electrifying as we monitor the approaching vessels on our scanners. The Marant Consortium struck first, attempting to claim the technology as intellectual property despite its ancient origins. The military alliance followed, declaring it a matter of galactic security. Then the religious conclave emerged, proclaiming the technology's acrid artifacts under their jurisdiction, but they all underestimated one crucial factor: human ingenuity, and more specifically they underestimated Drake's ability to turn chaos into opportunity. They're thinking like bureaucrats, Drake said as we fortified Our position, his enhanced presence, making my bioluminescence create intricate patterns of light and shadow. But this technology isn't meant to be controlled, it's meant to be shared. The way he handled the crisis was pure human brilliance. While the factions argued over ownership, Drake aided what he called protocol love. Actually a plan so audacious it could only have come from a human mind. Using our enhanced connection we managed to activate the facility's ancient broadcast system before any faction could stop us. We transmitted the basic principles of the enhancement technology to every compatible pair in the galaxy, not the full technical specifications, but enough for them to understand and begin exploring their potential. Let them try to control it now, Drake murmured, pulling me close as we watched the transmission spread across the galaxy. The way his enhanced energy merged with mine in that moment, by the stars, I never knew connection could be so profound. The faction's reactions were predictably furious. Their ship surrounded the facility, demanding we surrender the classified technology. Drake's response, he laughed, actually laughed. You can't classify Stardust, he told them through the cowl. You can't patent love. Our standoff has become a symbol for something larger. Other compatible pairs across the galaxy are reporting spontaneous activations of their own enhanced connections. The technology, it seems, responds to genuine bonds, not political authority. Last night, as we monitored the situation from our secured quarters, Drake showed me another aspect of human strategic thinking. They're so focused on controlling the technology, he whispered, his enhanced presence making every word feel like a crest, that they've missed its true purpose. He was right, of course. The ancients didn't create this technology to be hoarded or weaponized. They created it to evolve consciousness itself, to elevate compatible species to a new level of existence through shared experience and connection. The way Drake moves through our defensive preparations is mesmerizing. Every gesture carries enhanced meaning. Every tactical decision flows from both military training and deep intuition. His natural predatory grace has been amplified by the technology, making him seem almost supernatural. They think they're fighting for control, he said during a brief respite, his enhanced presence creating waves of anticipation across my skin. But they're really fighting against evolution, against love itself. The way he said love with such certainty, such fierce protection, made my entire being resonate with answering passion. Our intimate moments now carry an edge of defiance. Each touch, each shared breath becomes an act of rebellion against those who would control this gift. The enhancement technology responds to our emotions, creating displays of light and energy that transform our connection into something almost visible. Computer personal notation. Humans have a saying, love conquers all. I used to think it was just poetic hyperbole. Now, watching Drake coordinate our defense while simultaneously broadcasting hope across the galaxy, I understand love doesn't just conquer, it transforms. The way he holds me now, with our enhanced connection creating auroras of light around us, it's like being embraced by the universe itself. Every kiss becomes a declaration of freedom, every touch a reminder that some forces transcend political control and log entry and computer. Mark this as victory inevitable, because if there's one thing I've learned about humans, about Drake, it's that they don't just fight for love, they make love fight for them. Personal log cycle 847 final quarter universal revelation. Entry computer begin final documentation. To today we discovered the true purpose of the enhancement technology, and it's more beautiful and profound than any of us could have imagined. My skin radiates with pure joy as I record this entry from the heart of the ancient facility. Drake stands at the central console, his enhanced presence creating harmonious patterns in the air around him as the facility systems respond to our combined energy. It started when the facility's main crystal matrix began resonating with the collective energy of all activated enhancement connections across the galaxy. The patterns it created weren't just beautiful, they were a message, a revelation of the ancient ultimate plan. Look at this, Drake breathed his enhanced energy, making my bioluminescence dance as he decoded the patterns. It's not just about connecting pairs, it's about connecting everything. The ancients didn't just engineer compatible species for procreation or political alliance, they created a living network of love. Designed to evolve consciousness itself, each compatible pair forms a node in a vast web of connection building towards something greater than the sum of its parts. As Drake and I stood in the facility central chamber, our enhanced connection resonating with millions of others across space, the true magnitude of the design became clear. The technology wasn't meant to be a weapon or a tool, it was meant to be a catalyst for universal harmony. They were preparing us, Drake said, his enhanced presence sending waves of understanding through our connection. All these millennia of evolution, all these carefully engineered compatibilities, they were preparing us for this moment. The facility systems responded to our realization, projecting a galactic map showing countless points of light where enhanced connections had activated. Each point pulsed in harmony with all the others, creating a symphony of consciousness that transcended species, politics, and even space itself. The warring factions outside fell silent as the revelation spread through their enhanced crews. How can you fight over something that was designed to end fighting itself? How can you claim ownership of a force that exists to unite rather than divide? Drake's response to this cosmic revelation was quintessentially human. He pulled me close, his enhanced energy merging with mine in a way that made the facility's crystals sing. They engineered love, he whispered, but they couldn't engineer what we chose to do with it. Our intimate celebration of this discovery was transcendent. Every touch resonated not just between us but with the entire network of enhanced connections. Our passion became part of the universal harmony, our love a note in the cosmic symphony. The political fallout was immediate and profound. The mercantile consortium withdrew its claims, recognizing that you can't commodify universal consciousness. The military alliance stood down, acknowledging that you can't weaponize harmony. The religious conclave declared it a miracle, which in a way it is humanity's greatest strength. Drake mused as we watched the factions depart. Isn't our ability to fight or control, it's our ability to love without reservation, to throw ourselves completely into connection. The facility now serves as a beacon, a central point in the growing network of enhanced consciousness. Compatible pairs from across the galaxy come here not to seek power but to contribute their unique resonance to the greater harmony. Computer personal notation: when I first met Drake, his intensity terrified me. Now I understand that humans don't just feel emotions, they embody them. Their capacity for love is as vast as space itself and just as awe-inspiring. Our quarters in the facility have become our sanctuary, our private corner of the universal design. The way Drake looks at me now, with our enhanced connection humming in harmony with countless others, it makes those first moments of fear seem like a distant dream. The ancients' plan is unfolding exactly as they intended, but with a uniquely human twist. Instead of a controlled evolution of consciousness, it's becoming a wild, beautiful celebration of connection. Leave it to humans to turn cosmic destiny into a love story. End. Final log entry and computer mark this as beginning rather than end, because as Drake keeps reminding me, every ending is just a prelude to something even more amazing. Personal addendum: that first encounter with a human male didn't just terrify and arouse me, it awakened me to possibilities I never knew existed. And now, as part of this grand design, our love story has become part of something eternal. Drake's reading this over my shoulder now, his enhanced presence making my skin create patterns that match the facility's crystal harmonics. He says I should add that humans don't just participate in destiny, they embrace it, challenge it, and ultimately transform it through sheer force of love. He's right, of course he usually is about these things. And as his arms wrap around me, his enhanced energy merging with mine in that way that still makes my heart race, I know that the ancients chose well when they made our species compatible. Final notation: the universe is a vast and sometimes frightening place, but with a human's love as your compass, every discovery becomes an adventure, every fear becomes an opportunity, and every ending becomes a new beginning.